In my 7 years here at BBB, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of companies of varying size and in different industries to help them communicate with consumers in the most straightforward and ethical fashion possible through their advertising. From small mom-and-pop shops all the way up to national corporations, I've worked to help businesses uphold high standards for their advertising. Not only have I had the pleasure of working with businesses and consumers outside our organization, I've also been able to work with our National Council of Better Business Bureaus to help improve our internal policies and even encourage the modification of the mission statement used by all BBBs in our system to better align with national standards. For those of you who aren't familiar with Council of Better Business Bureaus, they're basically the national umbrella organization for all BBBs located within North America. They set the ground rules and provide guidance for BBBs across the country. So let's get this webinar started by getting us all on the same page as far as what we'll be discussing today. What is ethical advertising? A pretty broad definition of ethical advertising is communicating your product or service to consumers in a way that is truthful and non-deceptive. Any claims or offers made within the advertisement should be able to be substantiated upon request. Now, I think it should be said that we know most business owners aren't out there intentionally trying to mislead consumers, and that most advertisements that can be viewed as misleading or unethical are usually a result of lack of knowledge about national advertising standards. Lack of knowledge is what we hope to remedy here today as we get you more familiar with the organizations that can provide guidance in the arena of advertising, which is where these guys come in. So who sets the standards for what's ethical? The Federal Trade Commission is really the big fish in this pond. They are an independent government agency that promotes consumer protection and is charged with the enforcement of business regulation statutes. Pretty much they, along with your local state attorney general's office, enforce the rules of business practices that are more concrete or legal, whereas other agencies listed here, Advertising Self-Regulatory Council, Better Business Bureau, or Truth in Advertising, they more deal with best practices and help guide companies from more of an ethical standpoint. Now, information from these agencies was used to create the do's and don'ts in advertising. The do's and don'ts in advertising is a massive document that is constantly evolving. With around 2,800 pages of advertising guidance, it's an extremely comprehensive guide to how to advertise different items through a variety of mediums and how to do so within regulations. This document is so detailed it requires a monthly maintenance subscription to keep it up to date, which is not cheap, I might add. Since BBB recognized that most business owners may not want to lug around such a hefty, albeit valuable, document, a more convenient, user-friendly guide called BBB's Code of Advertising was created. This document is basically a highlights reel of the do's and don'ts in advertising. BBB took what it felt would be most relevant to business owners and summarized it into a pamphlet that will easily fit into your office drawer, glove box, or even your pocket. Don't let the Code of Advertising's small size fool you. It's jam-packed with useful information on a wide range of advertising issues. I've listed all sections here, but I'm only going to go over just a few to give you an idea. So the section on trade-in allowances, whether it's cell phone or cars, it's used to discuss ensuring consumers are aware, prior to purchase, what the limitations or terms and conditions may be for their trade-in. The layouts and illustrations section of the Code of Advertising explains the importance of representing your item as it's being sold. This is where the batteries not included or professional driver on closed course disclaimers come into play. Be sure you're not giving consumers inaccurate depictions of the product or services you're selling. Asterisks. Disclaimers at the bottom of the page shouldn't change the meaning or message of your advertisement. For example, it's not advised to promote free shoes, followed by an asterisk and a small print reading, after payment of $39.99. An asterisk really should be only used to provide consumers with additional information or important details about the offer or claim. Testimonials or endorsements. The Code of Advertising explains that if you're going to use testimonials, be sure they're actual customers, not paid actors. Also, if you're advertising an endorsement of your company by another, be sure that you have permission of that company prior to publication. Again, these are just a few of the issues BBB's Code of Advertising addresses. For more detailed information on any of the other categories listed here, I'd be more than happy to mail you a copy of the Code of Advertising for your viewing pleasure. Just be sure to type your contact information into the chat bar on the side. Let us know you'd like one sent to you, and we'll definitely make that happen. this has been a lot of information, and at this point, you might be wondering how this applies to your company. Well, companies are responsible for their advertising. Whether it's a Yellow Pages ad, a commercial, or a website, your advertising is representing your company, and it's the statement you're making to your consumers. Your advertisements could be the very first impression a consumer has of the company you've worked so hard to build. Be sure you're greeting them with the tone you want to set for their experience with your business. Any claims that are made within those advertisements, your company can be held liable for. Sometimes it's important to step back and ask, is this really honest? Could this advertisement potentially upset or misguide anyone? This whole webinar is really giving you an avenue and the tools for self-regulation, which is an excellent way to avoid any potential conflicts that could occur as a result of misleading or false advertisements. This is a perfect pausing point, so while I snag a quick drink of water, are there any questions so far? All right, well, let's jump back in. Through my job, I get to work with companies in Alaska, Oregon, and Western Washington. Those three markets have different industries and different cultures, but I found some commonalities between the three in the realm of advertising that I thought would be fun to share with you. These are the 5 most common advertising mishaps I come across on my daily adventures, and how to avoid them. So number 1, advertised guarantees or warranties. Number 2, superiority claims, comparatives. Lowest price claims would be number 3. Number 4, claimed results. And number 5, up to savings claims. So let's break these down. Before
Hey guys, it looks like we're having a couple problems with the audio. So we're gonna just troubleshoot really quick. If you guys can't hear right now, can you just type in a quick chat saying that you might be having a little problem with the audio? We apologize for any confusion. If you can all hear me, can you chat in, type a quick message into your chat box, and let us know you can hear the audio. Is anybody able to hear the audio at this time? All right, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with us. I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa so we can go ahead and get us restarted. And we're going to go ahead and go back one slide so everybody can kind of catch up. We're going to go ahead and just start right back from the top 5 common advertising mistakes. Thanks for all hanging in there with us.
All right, so through my job, I get to work with companies in Alaska, Oregon, and Western Washington. Those 3 markets have different industries and different cultures, but I found some commonalities between the 3 in the realm of advertising that I thought would be fun to share with you. These are the 5 most common advertising mishaps I come across on my daily adventures and how to avoid them. So number 1, advertised or guaranteed warranties, superiority claims, comparatives, lowest price claims, claimed results, and up to savings claims. So let's break these down. Before we dive in, I'd like to introduce you to my lovely assistant Gomer with Gomer's Goats. The advertisements on the right side of your screen are going to help illustrate potentially misleading advertisements and how to modify them to help you communicate more clearly with your consumers. Please note any businesses appearing in the next few slides are fictitious. Any resemblance to real businesses, past or present, is purely coincidental. So, advertised guarantees or warranties. Every time the words guarantee or warranty are used in an advertisement, regardless of the medium, some sort of additional information must be included in the advertisement. The additional information needs to either include the terms and conditions of the advertised guarantee or warranty, or at the very least instruct consumers on where to find that information. We do know that warranty and guarantee terms may change based on the product or service. So it's usually easier just to put a disclaimer in the ad instructing consumers to contact us for guarantee or warranty details. This is important regardless of whether it's a tiny square ad in the classifieds or even a giant billboard. If it's a TV commercial or radio spot, think about the "see store for details" you've often heard. As you can see in the ad here, the satisfaction guarantee is still advertised, but now the ad includes the disclaimer instructing consumers on where to find additional information. Really, this is a layer of protection for your company. If there were no information included in the ad expressing to the consumer that more information is available, they might feel that your satisfaction guarantee is limitless. Although I'm sure you'd all love to guarantee happy customers no matter what, sometimes there are just situations or conditions that are beyond your control. And I doubt it's just me that has experienced the occasional consumer who just won't allow themselves to be satisfied. Informing consumers of the terms and conditions of your guarantee or warranty prior to purchase is a good way to set ground rules for the customer's experience, as well as give the consumer a complete understanding of what to expect. If you're unsure as to whether your advertisement needs a disclaimer with more information, I think it's helpful to ask yourself, is there a question here left unanswered? What happens when a customer isn't satisfied? Where do they go? What do they do? Or what's within your powers to fix? Moving on to superiority claims or comparisons. Superiority claims are statements that compare your company, product, or services with those of your competitors. Claims such as the leader, number 1, largest, or the only are all statements that are definitive and should really only be used when they can be substantiated with proof from a neutral third party. Good old Gomer over here is making a statement to consumers that he has the largest selection of goats in the county. But what he doesn't say is how he established this information. Is it based on opinion or fact? The Code of Advertising explains that whenever you're going to make a comparative claim, it's important to be able to provide factual proof when asked. If you've got the proof to back up your statements, go for it. Be proud of your company and its achievements. As you can see here, Gomer can provide substantiation for his claim of the largest selection by a report that was done in a 2013 issue of Goats and Kids magazine. If documentation for your claim proves harder to come by, try instead using softer language. Instead of saying the largest, try one of the largest, or even a very large selection. consumers are still going to get the message that your selection is impressive and worth taking a look at. And you won't be held responsible for making definitive claims that can't be proven. Moving on to lowest or best price claims. With our world being as connected as it is on an electronic level, and with the constant fluctuation of the market climate, claiming to have the lowest price of anyone else is a pretty big statement, and it can be very hard to find the absolute truth of that pricing claim. For those reasons, the Code of Advertising actually advises companies just not to advertise lowest price. Your consumers should be able to trust your advertisements at face value and shouldn't have to research a lower price, as that should be something you're doing constantly if you choose to make this claim. But on the off chance a consumer does find a lower price, what will your company do to stand behind your promise? If your company does choose to advertise lowest or best, be sure you include some sort of disclaimer instructing consumers on the steps your company will take to address the lower price found. If you can see over in our Gomer's Goat ad, Gomer has offered to match any advertised price and instructs consumers to see store for more details. If your company is very set on advertising lowest price, this is a good way to go about it. Claimed results. You've probably seen the ads that promise you can lose 10 pant sizes in 10 days, or even a commercial that swears you too can become a millionaire with their get-rich-quick software. Those are prime examples of claimed results that are more than likely very misleading. Usually, you can recognize advertisements by the disclaimer, "Results not typical," at the bottom of the screen or page. Here, Gomer is promising that purchasing his goats will cut your lawn maintenance cost by 50%. But nowhere in that advertisement does Gomer explain where he came up with that number or what the statistic is based on. I can't stress the importance of your advertising being truthful enough. If you're going to make promises to consumers, be sure their words are accurate. The Code of Advertising states that all advertised results should be backed up with recent and competent scientific, engineering, or other objective data. You'll see here that our pal Gomer has actually found that a university did a study on lawn maintenance costs in relation to use of his goats. So he has backed up this claim with evidence to let consumers know the claimed result of 50% reduction in cost is a truthful statement. Up to savings claims. Make a statement that you will save a certain amount or percentage while shopping with the business. The way I like to explain this situation to businesses or consumers is this. You go into a store, and there's a table full of various merchandise in front of you. The sign simply says, save up to 80%. The average consumer is going to think that most of the items on the table can be purchased at the 80% discount, only to find out upon purchasing the item, there were only a few select items that were 80% off, and the rest were only 40%. Now, technically, the up to is correct, but it's still not transparent and could be potentially frustrating for your consumers. Gomer here is offering quite the deal of up to 75% off goats. But be sure consumers really know the price they're going to get their product at. It's important to provide as much information as possible. If there are a range of discounts, put the entire range within the advertisement so that consumers know that at the very least they'll be getting 40% off. If you do choose to advertise a range, be sure that a good percentage of the items are available at the higher discount, not just one or two. An even better tactic would be to do as Gomer has done here. He has listed the different kinds of goats and at what percentage off they are. That leaves no room for question with consumers and avoids potential misleading communication. This is the point in the webinar where we bring it all home and really take a look at how all of this information impacts you as a business owner. Ethical advertising ensures consumer trust. Trust is huge in the marketplace. Chances are good that you're not the only company out there that is offering your products or services. So it's important that consumers feel they can trust you and your advertising in order for them to pick you to do business with. Once you establish that trust, the chances of them becoming a return customer are greatly multiplied. Another benefit of ethical advertising is that you're supporting an honest and competitive marketplace. You're setting a standard in your industry, which hopefully will encourage your competitors to do the same. Consumers do take notice of quality. Also, by participating in ethical advertising, you avoid potential cases brought forth by enforcement agencies such as Federal Trade Commission or the Attorney General's Office. BBB challenges potentially misleading advertising too, but we don't make the details of the case public unless the company refuses to work with us to improve their advertising. We see this as more of a preventative measure, as we do recognize that most of the time it's not intentional. If the advertising concern gets to the point where the FTC or the Attorney General's office gets involved, things could get quite messy, and it could lead to publicly reportable legal action. So in the off chance you ever get a letter from BBB concerning your advertising, work with us. We're here to help. Speaking of helping, what can your BBB do to help you successfully advertise in an ethical manner? Your Better Business Bureau offers an advertising review service, free of charge, to both accredited businesses and non-accredited businesses. Basically, we offer your company the opportunity to submit your advertisement to us prior to publication, and we'll review your ad to ensure it meets standards. Whether it's a magazine advertisement, a flyer to be distributed, or even a banner to go on the side of a bus, we'll gladly look it over and provide constructive feedback or suggestions on how to align with standards when necessary. It's okay to have your printer or publisher contact us too. I've worked with many printing companies that send over a proof prior to finalization. With our quick turnaround time, we'll work with your printer to ensure that the printing or publication of your product is not delayed. Oh, and did I mention this is free? Although Better Business Bureau is always here to help you, we very much encourage businesses to do research and become better informed on their own. I've included some links to resources that I find helpful when trying to answer my own questions about advertising. The FTC, we've already brought up a few times, but it couldn't hurt to mention them once more because they really are an amazing wealth of knowledge. Digital Advertising Alliance is actually a neat one too. They focus more on those advertisements that you see along the sides of websites. So if you're a web-focused company that would either like to learn more about selling advertising space on your website or would like to purchase that space on sites of other companies, Digital Advertising Alliance is definitely a resource you should check out. The Advertising Self-Regulatory Council is actually composed of many branches that focuses on different aspects of advertising, like advertising to children, electronic advertising, and online accountability. They also provide documents on the most recent cases they've challenged to promote the highest level of ethical advertising, which are generally pretty hefty reading, but very interesting. Then we have my personal favorite, Better Business Bureau. With our friendly staff always ready to assist, we're here to answer any questions you may have about advertising, review any advertising ads you may be in the process of creating, or even send you out a copy of BBB's Code of Advertising to ensure you're armed with knowledge. There's also a link here directly to the online version of our Code of Advertising in the event you find the electronic version more helpful. Truth in Advertising is a nonprofit organization with a mission to empower consumers to protect themselves and one another against false advertisement and deceptive marketing. They have a pretty entertaining website, and I encourage you all to check it out and see what they have to offer. I'm sure all of you are still out there completely captivated by this wonderful webinar, so I thought it'd be fun to have you apply some of what we've covered today and let you try your hand at some advertising review. Gomer is back, and he's got plenty to say to his consumers. Go ahead and take a couple of minutes to review the ad and see if there's anything you'd include or reword in order to make this advertisement more transparent to consumers. You can use the chat box to chime in with any suggestions you may have. Let's go ahead and break this advertisement down by statement. First, we have an up-to claim without specifics. Then, Gomer proceeds to advertise a warranty lacking additional information for consumers. He then goes on to announce that his goats are #1 without providing any substantiation. And finally, he wraps it all up with an offer of a 1-year warranty. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing to make these statements, but it is important that when such statements are made, they're accompanied with additional information to ensure the consumer is adequately informed when making their purchasing choice. To help make this happen, Gomer has revamped his advertisement to include some extra details. He's added the price range to the up-to claim, letting his consumers know the range of potential savings they have. At the bottom of the ad, he's included a disclaimer encouraging consumers to contact them for more guarantee or warranty details. And he's managed to find a source for his claim of #1, which he has listed within the disclaimer at the bottom of the site also. And that brings us to the end of the webinar. At this point, I'd like to thank you for sharing your morning with me and invite you to ask any questions you may have about what we've covered today.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there with us with the tech glitches. We apologize for any slides that you guys may have missed, but I do want to let you know that the slides, the presentation slides, are available. So if you would like, go ahead and just type your email into the questions or the chat box, and we'll go ahead and send you out a copy of the entire presentation, as well as we have been live recording this webinar, and we will make that copy available to you as well. So that will be hosted on our YouTube channel at BBB News for You, and we'll go ahead and send that link out to everybody that was with us today. So I really appreciate all of your time, and thank you, Lisa, for a great presentation and for hanging in there with us. Everybody loves technology at some point, right? All right, well, thank you, everybody, and I see the email addresses running in, so we will make sure that everybody gets a copy of the slides. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day.